Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to LEGO DC Supervillains. So, we finished the level here, freed Black Adam, bad guy, and now they want us to go back to the Legion of Doom headquarters, which honestly, if this was going to be our hub area, it probably should be in the middle of the map, and it should be a lot more interesting of a place. There really isn't anything that comes immediately to my mind that Black Adam can do that Sinestro can't, at least in this open world stuff. We can just fly up to incredible heights, just like Sinestro could, until we hit that final ceiling, which is quite high up there. And then we can fly this way towards the tunnel, and then we've got to still fly down towards the tunnel. Like, the one thing we could probably do is come over here, because we know somewhere over here is this, and so we can scan this to at least highlight where the locations are in this part of the map. But for the most part, there's
got to be something to this.
He's just like Sinestro, and we could maybe have taken a car and driven if we wanted to, but almost certainly when I am doing the open world stuff, I'm just not going to ever use a car, and I will just play as a character that can fly. And arguably, if you were just trying to think of the strongest character of the villains, Black Adam very possibly is the strongest character you're gonna get. Like, sure, maybe you could go with a Red Hulk, which that's an interesting thought, certainly, is we haven't seen any enemies that sometimes are good and sometimes are bad. We're only really seeing giant villains, and they really just want us to walk to get distracted on these side quests. But yeah, Thanos, or I'm not Thanos, but Darkseid would be, I guess, your strongest, biggest bad guy character, unless you're going to include like Death or some more character like that. The Anti-Monitor might be a good one to pick. The other three characters in our group just waiting here because they just cannot abide that many people following around in the open world. So I guess we're gonna have a real story happen here. I don't know how we're gonna have a mission in this area.
No way. Fascinating. Thank you, sir. Amazing. Did you get all that, Jimmy? What an informative interview. That eyewitness saw a member of the Syndicate failing to stop an act of crime. What is so important that Superwoman would leave Harley Quinn and the Joker running around? They aren't the usual actions of a superhero.
No.
Absolutely not. Something big is going on behind the scenes, and we're gonna find out what it is.
And see, the joke there is he didn't get any of the footage and the character didn't talk. They didn't pay a voice actor to voice him.
Found ye, I did. Now to do what we should have done when we first got here. Take her down with ease.
I think the sushi's arrived!
What's going on?
Catching the day.
Harley, no!
So I guess that makes a good explanation as far as how we're going to get an underwater section.
See not safe. Hide us.
What? No! That sea monster dragged away the Hall of Doom and my friend! And you're going to help me get them back, aren't you?
So once again, we're just playing as a completely different group of villains.
Harley!
Hot name for a squid. Ah, more guests.
And this definitely feels like we're probably just doing a boss battle.
Be sorry you decided to follow me, you worthless scallywags.
No one steals our friends from us.
Surrender, Sea King. There's only room for one ruler of the ocean, and that's me.
Yeah, this barely is going to feel like a level. This is instead going to be more like the Poison Ivy level, where it's just a small section fighting a giant monster boss. And then we'll probably move over to the left. And honestly, this is only going to make any sense whatsoever if it is designed in a way to feel very intense as a fight, and that requires the different attacks and the promotion and projection of attacks. And it seems like after you damage them once, you get attacked. I didn't even realize that Poison Ivy was there. She was stuck in the corner. So it doesn't really feel like it matters who you play as. It just more matters to get the hits in when you can. But they have a lot of sections where he's invulnerable.
I think he wants to let his pet do the rest of his dirty work.
Ha! Fine by me. Not even some overgrown octopus can stop King Shark.
As much as I admire your enthusiasm, my fishy friend, defeating this creature may require an extra level of stunt.
Black Manta, a great example of one of the Aquaman villains that are incredibly unmemorable, because Aquaman is just an incredibly unmemorable character. And honestly, I think it has to be 100% blamed on bad writing, because I do think that there's certainly a way to make him an interesting character, and they just haven't really done it.
That showed you not to mess with us.
I wouldn't be so sure. I believe
See, this guy is
using a form of mind control to command the octopus.
You don't stand a chance.
You'd think that like a laser thing like this could just hit him and hurt him. And I guess it can, but that definitely doesn't feel like the way they would prefer you to attack.
Surprise for you. Did you wish you hadn't followed me now, eh?
This wretched Sea King is even more
We have
insufferable
only
than
4,000 studs at the moment. Really don't have a way to get a lot more studs. So maybe they're doing something a little bit different here, in that they're going to have us play a level section. It will still probably be pretty small, but it'll be something more than just a boss fight after the boss fight. There's a lot of this tap the B button stuff when, honestly, it probably would be just as good. We'll just stand here and see if we'll get him to attack. Nope, we needed this guy to smash it. These characters love to go off in the corner. What was down here? A plant. Yeah, sometimes you hold B, sometimes you tap B. Both times if it was just a normal button press, I would think that might be a little bit easier to simplify the controls for a kid, simplify the controls for somebody with difficulty, accessibility wise. And it really isn't adding a lot to force the player to tap versus hold.
Hey! Look who managed to escape!
King Shark, is that you? Wait a sec. Oh, you guys came to rescue me.
You three can catch up later. Right now we've got a runaway supervillain base to reacquire.
It's okay. I'll stay here with Harley. You two, get after him.
Ha! Fresh meat this way!
It is just incredibly ridiculous here that we are constantly getting dialogue wasted on.
I believe they went through here. Let's find a way past.
Yeah, you're just constantly wasting dialogue to explain why characters are separating. And if anything, I guess maybe there's even a little bit of a hint that they're trying to show there, in the sense that villains never work together, therefore that's why they always fail. I don't know what I was supposed to do. So I bet I just can't get past that and collect that mini kit. And I assume that if we were to play this level in free play mode, you could play as any character underwater with no problem. Lego games have been noticeably good about not making underwater levels, and this is, I guess, an interesting exception to that. Effectively being underwater is not too different from flying, so programming wouldn't have to change that much.
It still persists. I had no idea the people of this earth were so foolish.
I feel you're about to learn a great deal about us.
Yeah, like that I'm a shark. King Shark!
Now you'll see why I'm the true ruler of the ocean. You're in deep trouble now.
So we're gonna fight, I guess, multiple times the same guy. I don't know what happened there. I think I literally glitched the game by falling off the ledge and him following me. Which, whatever, I mean, that fight wasn't gonna be interesting
You
anyways.
still want to hide in here, boys?
Very funny, Rydo. You got your friend back, so we'll be on our way.
Yeah, that was an incredibly abrupt ending for that level, and there was just like nothing in that level in story mode. And yeah, it definitely feels like this is probably the worst example of a Lego game that has done that, where there is obviously 2, 3, 4 times as much content in that level in free play mode compared to what you would do in story mode. And making the story mode levels just unrecognizably short compared to what you would do in free play does not help you at all, obviously, because the achievement statistics still basically say that less than 70% have made it to like this point. Yeah, 33.9% of players on Steam have gotten the achievement to beat this level, which tells you something around 66% of players, 2/3 of players, not even this far in the story. So making that level short wouldn't have helped at all. The number's only slightly better at like 34% for the last level.
Enough nonsense!
Nice suit, Lex!
If the crime syndicate can find us, we must strike now. Thanks to them, there's no more Justice League. But now we need to show these Earth 3 imposters how we do things around here. Time to find out what they're up to, kick them out, and make this planet ours.
Yes!
Yeah!
Let's get them!
We need to get to their base at LexCorp and take them down.
Why is their base at
Rookie. I've
LexCorp?
watched your powers grow and I'm impressed.
Wink. Wink and Harley Quinn. Okay. I feel like this rookie is somehow a Lex plot. I don't know how she would have been created by LexCorp without her knowing, but that seems like that's the case. And see, that was just like 17 minutes. So let's just do another level. I mean, there we have Lex doing massive jumps. And you are in this position where it's either get distracted and do side quests a lot, or just move the story forward, and it makes a lot of sense to just move the story forward. I assume if I stop and turn around, our second character is going to magically be behind me. Lex might be our default character, and his like Superman S on his chest made me think when I first saw him that he was Superman. So is the idea that Lex is dressing up like Superman to make people think Superman is around? Which that wouldn't be a terrible plan, really. Just to make it seem like the Justice League was back and confuse the Justice Syndicate, who would be the only people who knew they weren't around. I am very confused as to why their headquarters would be at LexCorp, though, instead of their headquarters being at the Hall of Justice over there.
Found something. And it doesn't even require an import license.
No fall damage, so we can just casually fall off the edge here. Not a
to
ton
sneak
of
into my own building?
entertainment
This is ridiculous.
jumping up and
Any
down or
specific
running up
thoughts
and
as to how we
down
might get inside?
a
They'll certainly notice me if we attempt to enter through the front door.
There's
building.
no need to worry. I have everything under control. This way.
Yeah, Lego Batman, it was either 1 or 2 that had Gotham. I think 2 had a open world Gotham City. And it was an incredibly smaller Gotham City, but it had a lot of like fire escapes and acrobatic things you would have to climb to get to the top of buildings. Probably too much of that. Whereas now the buildings have zero accommodation for a regular character that can't fly or jump.
Tomorrow. Sorry, folks. We've run out of renewable energy. Come back tomorrow to book a test drive. At least I get to go home to my wife and kids.
Ah.
Who am I kidding? TV dinner for one.
Please, sir or madam, step in to begin your test drive to a happier, healthier you. Enjoy the complimentary gold chocolates on us, but please refrain from excessive consumption while the vehicle is in motion. After a hard day on the road, why not rest your weary head on Egyptian cotton bed sheets? Only at Lex Hotels.
Yeah, and the whole like GTA, let's get the police after us concept here, falling apart completely in that rolling and hitting people and causing chaos is not really that interesting, nor is it calling the police down on me or anything like that.
Why not pick up a Lexmatic Funbox 4000 today? Sold at all good video game retailers.
So that just all seems kind of pointless. Is there something special about this heart here? It's funny that there's a Lego piece there. We've got a wheelchair, which is an interesting thought. But it's incredibly slow, so it's not fun. I would hope that there wouldn't be a race where you have to race in a wheelchair. So yeah, we're just gonna superhero punch through here and then hack this puzzle.
I'll have this taken care of with ease.
So if you do the wrong move, it glows. Interesting. So they actually make it fairly obvious as far as what you're supposed to do. And then you get coins when you do the right thing. Worst case scenario, this is just a really, really long level. But there's no reason to make a 15-minute long episode when every other episode is an hour long.
Thanks for agreeing to
So
speak with us, sir. So,
this may be a long level with a short level.
And is it true that all the local water bubbled up due to unusual activity? Incredible! And the rumor of a ferocious man-shark being spotted? And that a giant octopus stalks these waters, dragging boats and buildings to a watery
See, this gag should have been done before the last cutscene.
story! He really was a chatterbox, huh? Still, we got what we needed.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, it feels like they should have established that Lois Lane doesn't actually get any of them to talk. And then, I don't know if there is a lot of value in continuing the low battery gag on the cameras.
What? That guy looks taller.
We need to get to their control room.
But yeah, if you're gonna have voice acting, there should be more comedy and less,
Okay,
oh, we're
let's get
splitting
moving.
up again.
Who's that?
Just one of my faithful employees. Wait, what are you doing?
At a certain level, it would be kind of funny if they just straight up said, we've got to split up now for some reason, and it was just the exact same line of dialogue used multiple times. Now, I have to ask, feels like we've been in this level before.
Unfortunately, I have no time to learn how to use this.
And so these are like self-destructing security robots. So what we may have is a case here of a game that, unlike the other LEGO games that tend to be split in half and sold to people twice, where it's always been kind of a ripoff that way. We may have a case here, a game that has been rushed in a half-finished state of sorts, and that's why the levels are inherently so much shorter than any other LEGO game I've ever played. We need to do something with these guys, but I'm not sure what it is. We've got some gold over here. Let's see what this does. We need like minions to follow us. So maybe now we can get a shrinking character. Go through that. Arguably the music is not really hyping me much on this. Okay. Break a bunch of stuff. And see what that does for us. We barely broke anything, actually. Okay. This group of security droids still feel like they're the same thing. But maybe we can build something more. So now we've got green characters. And our other guys are now magically up here, and it feels like there should have been an explanation as to why that was the case. Can this guy do anything with magic? Definitely feels like there's a lot of free play stuff that we're gonna miss out on and not even see or understand. Although a lot may be the wrong term. Just even if there's 2 or 3 times as much level, it still could be very short. And we're doing a standard like cursor puzzle, which I haven't seen one of these in a while.
That's better. What would Lex Luthor be without robotic minions?
A lot more quiet, perhaps.
So We're just whistling at all these robotic minions to get them to stand on this platform. It seems kind of silly. Like, we had to do that to get them up there when they were already up there. And the characters that came up there all had the ability to fly. So there's a level of insanity here in that they didn't even think their level their concept through in the story mode. Who can telepathically control people? Shazam stuck in the floor. Yeah, he can telepathically control people. I guess maybe the idea is that he is supposed to jump up here so then he can psychically control the character. Tap B. Sinestro's just in the way. And then I tap B again once controlling him.
Finally! This is taking too long.
Patience, Adam. We must work together to defeat the crime syndicate. Now is not the time for ego.
So, yeah, if anything, it really, I think, just shows that the game is poorly programmed in its pathfinding and just generally not explaining what the mission and the immediate goal is.
You're certain there isn't an easier way to get around this place, Luther?
If there was, don't you think I'd use it? Let's access the main reception desk.
So we've got a fish. Got something over here we can't hit. We got something over here we can hit.
Hello and welcome to LexCorp. Please take a seat until Mr. Luthor returns.
But I am Mr. Luthor. Must have changed the security codes to keep us out.
Whatever it is they're up to, they don't want the world to find out about it. There must be a way past.
I really have to question how they would have even come to the decision to make all the levels so incredibly narrow. Like, what potential bug would have to even exist that would have been the solution to say we are not going to scroll more than 2 window widths.
When the crime syndicate already knows we are here.
They may know we're here, but the only way we're ever going to reach them is by following Luthor.
Yes, Adam. Please be patient.
Patient? This is not my way. I take what I want when I want.
Let's see. Try and find all the things to interact with. So this looks like this is a whole puzzle where you have to just kind of brute force it.
This is your idea of reprogramming the receptionist into helping us, Luther?
Just a few minor upgrades and she'll be perfect.
They say that genius is often
This
misunderstood.
is almost certainly a
I'm
whole
not certain
separate
this
extra
qualifies.
room. And so now he's sweeping up. Meanwhile, if you just want to do the standard kid thing of running around and smashing things, there's very little to Smash. That is very possibly a major factor as to why so few kids, I assume kid players, or mostly the players of these LEGO games, would have gotten that far. This just feels more slow, more boring, as is exactly how a kid would describe it, compared to other LEGO games. A lot of desire to have the kids just listen to kind of pointless dialogue and walk around empty levels. It does feel like it's a unfinished game. Now, I will say, while we have had other crashes and bugs and glitches, which screams unfinished game also, we have not had that micro stuttering issue that was, I think, mostly more a Windows 10 Microsoft programming mistake more than even the makers of LEGO games, but they never really fixed it either, or it took them way too long to fix it. But being bug free really can't give you too much credit for a game that just structurally has problems as far as its writing and its level design. I'd rather it be a little bit more crashy and have the levels feel like other LEGO games, much bigger LEGO games levels. That's interesting. You had like a unique orange door there that could only be broken by that one character, that one vehicle.
It's as if they were waiting for us.
Of course we were.
Ultraman, as arranged, they're all yours.
Your so-called ally Lex told us you were on your way. He said he simply couldn't allow this attack to succeed.
You have done well, Lex.
My tech can help you find whatever it is you're looking for, in exchange for my share of the Earth when you're done.
I'd watch
Like
him,
Lex
Ultraman.
would.
I don't think he can be trusted.
Lex would never share the Earth.
I'm here for a fight.
Get them!
Deadshot and Captain Boomerang.
Well, he's just the friendliest looking thing.
I'm gonna guess he's not programmed to give out hugs.
I'd kind of forgotten completely that Deadshot and Captain Boomerang were even in the game. And who am I fighting now? Some kind of cyborg character in a boss fight as the custom character.
It is pointless to challenge us.
Too many enemies and allies on the screen, so there's Captain Boomerang, and you can friendly fire on them. Meanwhile, you have, looks like Grodd and other characters on the other side of the screen fighting somebody else. I don't really know who. Firestorm? Yep. Yeah, the evil Firestorm. And we can't go in here, so there should just be like a should be like a wall there. I don't see the value at all in splitting a level arena in half. Yes, all the levels have felt like big round arenas, but you know what's worse than a big round arena? Half of a big round arena.
My technology is superior to all.
Let's see. I don't even know if we've really...
No more, you gliders.
This world is ours.
Part of the problem certainly with Deadshot too is that he's supposed to never miss, so as a character in the story, if you ever play as him.
System damaged. Recharge necessary.
Glad I'm not paying for his electric bill. Let's take him down.
So this is incredibly scripted as far as what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to come over here and absorb or overcharge him, I guess. Not absorb his power. So they made it so he would attack one person and then you would swap characters and attack the other characters.
Malfunction detected. Initiating internal repair. Have a nice day. Once again, my systems have failed me better than me.
Gonna take something a little heavier to put him down. You're right there, mate. Let's see what we can find.
So, can I do something? This guy can scan. And so he finds a grapple hook point. So then we can build something. It's very colorful. I guess maybe this is a Deadshot spot. Too much animation in the fighting section there. Let's see. What button fires? Oh, I guess you have to target that first, then you press X. That's gonna drop a whole elevator on him. So they're playing with the concept of Deadshot bouncing.
You think you could do a little creative rewiring?
So here we go, and no real time limit here, I'm sure. So we'll just grab the last few studs we possibly can grab. So we get to True Zone.
I always knew grid was nothing more than scrap metal. You won't deal with me so easily.
Wow. So much for team spirit.
Yeah, with friends like those. Yada, yada, yada.
Grundy not going to be Fireman's friend.
So we'll run around the level.
You really want to test me? I almost pity you.
And grab the stud, says Harley Quinn. Just a lot of...
Where am I?
We got you now, hot stuff.
A lot of characters. He spins around and gets dizzy. Instead of grabbing somebody and becoming vulnerable at that point. It would have made a lot more sense to just have a round arena and have Firestorm or Deathstorm flying up in the air and then landing later.
Did I get him?
Oh, bye-bye, Mr. Fireman.
Alright, let's swap to
I'm
Solomon
gonna
Grundy.
enjoy this.
And in this alcove it doesn't really look like anything.
You're no match for me. Well, I'm all fired up now. Think fast.
Having a big character, you'd think he could just reach up there and attack him when he's flying. And I guess that kind of does work that way. Let's try Catwoman.
I can't believe this. This can't be happening.
Now's our chance. Sorry to put you out like this.
And this is really just jumping, which that kind of highlights how there should be a lot more jumping in this game.
This is as far as you go.
Pretty much every other Lego game, you're massively are encouraged to jump like crazy. The camera is also awful in this situation. But the just random jumping and hopping doesn't happen very often. It's not encouraged, for sure.
Right. Now, I want to have a word with Lex.
Wonder Woman and Ultraman.
Yes, of course. That makes sense.
Luthor, no, don't touch that.
You don't know what you're doing.
Oh, but I do. Using your technology, I'll soon be rid of anyone who could oppose my total rule of this planet. Hero or villain.
You tricked all of us?
I'm going to get rid of you. Just like you got rid of the Justice League.
No, what are you doing?
So if this custom character was supposed to be a secret ace in the hole for Lex, didn't work out that way. And see, we're still only 47 minutes into this episode. So that was not a particularly long level to balance out a particularly short level before this. The levels are just getting incredibly short. And we bent over backwards to make that level long by trying to find every single possible thing you could break to get True Villain. Not that True Villain is really doing us any good, it's just giving us gold bricks, and we have not been given any reason why we should collect gold bricks at all. And those are things that really they could have made an explainer video of that in the very first Lego game, and reused that same explainer video tutorial code in every future Lego game. Yeah. I feel like there was a Lego Marvel Avengers game that was kind of more centered around the Avengers movie that had a lot of tutorialization going on for it. Maybe a little bit too much in that case, but this is definitely a swing in the opposite direction, far too far. I guess we still got some time. Let's continue the story and figure out that he has potentially brought Darkseid to Earth, or Apocalypse, the planet, with Darkseid as the ruler to Earth. Is this the Apocalypse from Earth 1 or Earth 3? Who knows? And if he didn't bring Apocalypse to Earth, then he brought Earth 3 to Earth, which that would be weird, but not really change too much. That looks like Apocalypse, not an Earth 3.
Hey, folks! You'd have to be living under a rock not to notice the new planet in the sky.
What's that now?
Let's go live to the Justice Syndicate for an update on just
So
what's happening.
Kent Clarkson
People of Earth,
and the Justice
don't
Syndicate
panic. We, your
didn't get
heroes,
teleported
are
away.
currently assessing if any threat is posed by this new moon now orbiting your Earth.
At the moment, it looks like there is no cause for alarm. Reassuring smile.
There you go, folks. Nothing to worry about. Huh.
Where are we, Puddin'? If we're over the rainbow, I ain't impressed.
I agree. Ooh, but look what's going on over there. It looks like they're having a party. They won't mind if we
It's interesting that Earth 1 and Gotham is being shown as North America, but I guess that is basically true. Is the Metropolis and Gotham and all those cities are basically North America.
people could get suspicious.
Certainly DC could fix that quite a bit. Like, instead of having one African city called Wakanda in the entire continent of Africa, have multiple African cities of importance and have more European cities than just maybe London. Yeah, have some more diversity in locations. Then you could create entire new, like, no real world city names. Gotham, Smallville, all made up names, Metropolis, but you could have made up city names that for other countries. One thing that I thought might be interesting here is if you could fly as a flying character all the way upward to get to Earth. And I suspect the answer is probably no. Which, if anything, this just means the grid-locked level was the one we just did. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels that look like they'll be on Apocalypse, which makes sense because Apocalypse does not seem like it's that big of an area. And then there's just going to be a large collection of other open world stuff to do and DLC stuff to do, which inherently, the fact that this game now that we've gotten this far has DLC is kind of ridiculous. All the effort in the DLC should have been put in making the main story and the main game way better. This does not fly. It kind of makes sense. It just highlights how much effort they were putting to move to a new engine for the Lego Skywalker Saga reboot of the Lego series. But yeah, that's not going to make this game any better to say that they spent more resources and more time making the next game that was released better, and they shortchanged this game, possibly because of it. I can't say for certain. So yeah, at 53 minutes, I guess we should end the level here, in the episode here. It wouldn't make sense to start another level. Yes, I guess it would be a surprise if you didn't know who Darkseid is, if you didn't know what a mother box was. The foreshadowing of the mother box didn't even really seem like it played out that well, unless they activate the mother box on Earth 1 and that calls the dark side of Earth 1, and then dark side of Earth 1 fights the dark side of Earth 3. Which, yeah, there might be an interesting twist there as far as Darkseid not really being Darkseid in Earth 3 and somebody else actually being Darkseid of Earth 3. Our character first comic appearance is unknown, affiliation is unknown, and my alias is a rookie. But it doesn't feel like they foreshadowed the idea of Apocalypse enough for that to matter. Like, I imagine most little kids who don't know who Darkseid is and what mother boxes are, I don't think they could possibly have gone through the story up until this point and seen this twist coming. And for a kids game, they probably should be able to see the twist coming. It should be super simplistic, blatantly obvious, and it just isn't. Inherently, I don't know if this really is a particularly good kids game for a Lego game, because there's just a lot of very specific challenges and not a lot of extra stuff to smash. So if you were a 4-year-old, you probably would struggle to get to the end of this game because you just wouldn't figure out what to do. And then there's also a lot of violence, cartoony Lego violence, as it is, because there's just more people you're fighting and you're playing as villains, which that was always going to be a bit of a problem. And if you wanted to play as a hero from the beginning, they don't really unlock any character that would have been a hero as an option. Like, feels like there should be some weak character that you could play as a hero if you just really liked heroes, that would have been unlocked by default right after the custom character, and that you wouldn't have had to pay anything for, even if it was just a police officer character, security guard officer. That would have been a nice default thing to unlock. Yeah, well, when nothing happens and you have to play 2 whole levels to even take an hour, that really does create a weird situation where there's not a lot to say at the end of these episodes. There's still a ton of work that needs to be done as far as just unlocking stuff. That's why we are staying very steadily around 17% completion, is that we're not getting many kits in any of the levels. Doesn't seem like you could get them all in almost any of them. We're not getting characters or vehicles unlocked, so we have 210 left of those. We haven't made any progress at all towards a red brick. We've only really seen 1 red brick in the entire game. And that, since there were only 20 red bricks, that does imply to me that the main game either doesn't have a red brick in each of the main storyline missions, or there are actually exactly 20 main red brick storyline missions. We have 202 gold bricks to collect, 34 portraits to deface, 8 statues to repair, and 20 levels to get true villain on. It's just a lot of work. Yep. Almost certainly what's going to happen is if we get to the free play point, which I think will make that, the game will basically change completely at that point, and the missions and the idea of doing the missions will become very quickly forgotten in favor of just running around the open world and getting all the open world stuff, and then we'll probably take a break. Now, logically, I should probably do all the DLC levels after doing the main story levels, then run around the open world and get all the open world stuff, then do the levels in free play. And that is going to create, like many Lego games, a really long series because of the repetitive nature of it. That being said, once we have a character that can fly and can unlock all the doors, even doing the free play levels may be very quick. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. There are support and social media links down below in the description if you want to support me further. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.